The broadcast began with an announcement that echoed across the galaxy, a special execution to demonstrate the might of the Tyrasis Dominion. Millions tuned in, some out of fear, others for spectacle. Few cared who the victims were. The galaxy had long grown desensitized to the violence of the Dominion. On the screen appeared a human man and woman, restrained, defiant, bruised but standing tall. The broadcast labeled them as insurgents, traitors, enemies of order. The charge meant little. The Dominion needed no justification. The executioner, a towering Tyrasis soldier, recited the sentence with relish. The couple's names were Elias and Marin Holt. They had disrupted supply lines, aided resistance groups, and refused surrender. The Tyrasis wanted to make an example of them. The human pair exchanged a final glance, calm and unflinching. When asked for last words, Elias said, "You do not understand what you have started." Marin added, "You will wish you had never met us." The signal was flawless. Every corner of the Dominion's territory received it live. The execution began. The Tyrasis soldiers drew it out with cruel precision, making sure the suffering was evident. Each moment was broadcast in painful detail. The couple did not cry out. Their silence unnerved some alien viewers who expected begging, tears, or rage. They got none. In exactly 7 minutes, the broadcast ended. Their bodies lay still. The executioner announced the punishment complete. The Tyrasis leadership congratulated themselves on a successful demonstration. Alien spectators moved on quickly. Some debated whether the humans had shown foolish bravery or merely weakness in resisting. Others dismissed the event as another routine crushing of rebellion. A few, though, watched the replay in silence, sensing something had gone wrong. The couple's last words circulated quietly among those few who paid attention to the undercurrents of galactic affairs. On the outer colonies, humans watched with horror. Families wept, friends screamed, but the public grief hardened into a singular resolve. On Earth, the response was swift and cold. The United Human Systems released a short, emotionless statement. There will be no negotiation. Communication ceased. Human embassies across Tyrasis space went dark. Civilian transports vanished from common trade routes. Human trade ceased without explanation. Alien diplomats attempted to reach human leaders, but were met with silence. Tyrasis commanders mocked the human withdrawal, interpreting it as cowardice. They believed the humans would lash out in some limited, manageable way, perhaps a token revenge attack. They had misjudged the entire species. Some alien analysts attempted to warn the Tyrasis High Command, citing obscure human cultural doctrines about vengeance and historic responses to existential threats. Their warnings were ignored. The Dominion believed they understood war and assumed the humans were emotional primitives. In hidden corners of the galaxy, human fleets began to assemble. Ships that had been scattered across various systems suddenly converged with alarming speed. The colonies coordinated without fanfare or public announcement. Formally independent human military groups unified under a singular directive. There were no diplomatic channels open, no ultimatums issued. There was only silence. Reports surfaced of Tyrasis outposts disappearing. At first, the Dominion dismissed them as isolated attacks, but the pattern intensified. Entire planetary garrisons were found obliterated with no distress signal sent. Scattered among the ruins was a simple symbol, 7 minutes. No explanation accompanied it, but the timing was unmistakable. Human forces executed their strikes with precise synchronization, often completing entire assaults in exactly 7 minutes. The Dominion's intelligence services attempted to track the human fleets, but failed repeatedly. Human ships appeared from stealth positions, attacked without warning, and vanished before countermeasures could be deployed. Panic began to spread among Tyrasis ranks as rumors outpaced official reports. The symbol 7 minutes became a whispered curse among Dominion soldiers. Alien news networks, the same ones that had eagerly broadcast the execution, now filled their channels with shaky footage of burning outposts and fleeing Tyrasis commanders. The galaxy that had once watched with detached amusement now watched with growing unease. The humans were not responding like other species. They did not seek territory, they did not take prisoners, and they did not issue demands. They simply destroyed. Tyrasis' allies attempted to distance themselves, sending envoys to the humans pleading neutrality. They received no reply. The human fleets bypassed them, focusing solely on Tyrasis' targets, but the message was clear. Interference would not be tolerated. Systems that once proudly displayed Dominion banners quickly removed them, unwilling to risk association with the collapsing regime. The galactic community scrambled to interpret the human response. Some believed it to be a temporary emotional reaction, expecting the humans to tire or negotiate. Others, particularly those who had studied human history, argued that the species would pursue this to its conclusion without pause. The Dominion leadership remained arrogant, insisting they could outlast a human offensive. They fortified core worlds and boasted of unbreakable defenses. They still misunderstood. Inside human command structures, the strategy was chillingly simple. Every offensive was timed to the same 7-minute window. No Tyrasis installation was to survive beyond that threshold. Human commanders coordinated without visible hesitation, their tactics prioritizing speed and terror over traditional siege warfare. For them, it was not just about military victory. It was about erasing the insult, the dishonor, and the lives taken on live broadcast. The human public, far from pacified by the retaliations, demanded continuation. The names Elias and Marin Hope became rallying cries across human colonies. Songs, stories, and military operations bore their names. Even human children spoke of the 7 minutes as a cultural milestone. The execution had not broken humanity. It had unified it in a way no external force had achieved before. The Tyrasis Dominion escalated its propaganda efforts, attempting to paint the humans as barbaric aggressors. But the galaxy had seen the broadcast. They had witnessed who struck first. Neutral species quietly acknowledged that the Tyrasis had miscalculated. Fear spread not because humans were winning battles, but because they did not seem to be seeking peace at all. Alien diplomats proposed emergency summits, try and create coalitions to deter further human advances. Few species volunteered to stand against humanity. Those who had once feared the Tyrasis now feared the humans more. The silence from human leadership continued. Every message sent by alien envoys was met with emptiness. Human warships gave no quarter, issued no threats, and left no survivors. Tyrasis High Command scrambled to understand the scope of what they had triggered. Their intelligence analysts pored over every piece of data, searching for weaknesses in the human strategy. What they found instead was a horrifying truth. The humans were not using standard military protocols. Their logistics did not rely on supply lines as the Dominion understood them. Human fleets operated on autonomous power, self-sustaining, capable of launching consecutive 7-minute assaults without refueling or resupply. The Dominion's attempts to disrupt their operations failed. Human units simply adapted, bypassed, or ignored expected choke points. Attempts to counterstrike were disastrous. Tyrasis fleets that sought to ambush human squadrons found themselves walking into traps. Human ships lured their pursuers into tight gravity wells, artificial minefields, and sensor-blind zones. Tyrasis admirals, who had once boasted of their superior battle algorithms, watched their fleets vanish under precision human fire. The speed of each human offensive left no time for meaningful retaliation. The Dominion's vast military machine had always depended on prolonged engagements, but the humans refused to grant them such battles. The symbol 7 minutes became an operational signature. Human forces deliberately timed their attacks to begin and end within that window, making it impossible for the Tyrasis to mount coordinated defenses. Even the Dominion's most fortified positions fell in mere minutes. The precision of human strikes sowed terror across Tyrasis territory. Civilians fled in mass evacuations, abandoning entire sectors. Human communications remained silent. No threats, no demands, no explanations. Only their actions spoke. Every strike reinforced the singular message: retribution. Galactic media tried to rationalize the human offensive, but the simplicity of the cause made it difficult to spin. The execution of Elias and Marinhold had been the catalyst, and now the humans were erasing the Dominion piece by piece. Tyrasis propaganda intensified, labeling the humans as genocidal monsters. They broadcast fabricated footage, doctor reports, but the Dominion's own soldiers knew the truth. Human assaults were terrifyingly surgical. They targeted military assets with precision. They left non-combatants untouched unless those civilians took up arms. Entire garrisons would vanish while nearby civilian sectors remained physically unharmed, though terror-stricken. Within the Dominion, whispers of mutiny spread. Lower-ranked officers questioned the leadership's competence and their understanding of the enemy they had provoked. Some commanders began deserting their posts, abandoning colonies to avoid the inevitable 7-minute offensives. The Dominion's chain of command fractured under the weight of its arrogance and its failure to comprehend human resolve. Alien mercenaries contracted by the Tyrasis quickly withdrew their services after facing human special operations teams. These human units infiltrated deep into Dominion space, striking key communication hubs and logistics nodes. Their operations, always completed in 7 minutes, paralyzed entire Tyrasis fleets. The mercenaries realized that no amount of payment could compensate for facing such relentless and precise adversaries. The Tyrasis leadership, now desperate, finally attempted to offer diplomatic channels. They sent envoys, pleaded for a ceasefire, but humanity maintained its silence. There were no negotiations. Every attempt to contact human command was met with cold, uncompromising quiet. Human fleets continued to advance, operating with terrifying coordination. The galaxy watched in astonishment as system after system fell. The Dominion's borders, once thought impenetrable, collapsed like paper barriers. Entire planetary defense networks proved useless against human cyber warfare capabilities. Human strikes disabled planetary shields and defensive grids in seconds. The Tyrasis had built their defenses to withstand sieges, but the humans did not lay siege. They arrived, dismantled, and departed, all within 7 minutes. Human fleets began to divide, striking multiple Tyrasis systems simultaneously. Even the Dominion's fastest communication, relays, could not keep pace. Entire sectors went dark before Central Command could register the initial distress calls. The Tyrasis Navy attempted to consolidate forces for defense, but the humans anticipated these movements. They launched decoy attacks to draw Tyrasis fleets away, then obliterated key industrial worlds left exposed. The precision and rhythm of the human assault shattered the psychological resilience of Tyrasis commanders. Every operation reinforced the inevitability of the humans' methodical advance. Alien analysts, studying the unfolding campaign, observed that humans were not overextending. Their logistics, fleet rotations, and tactical withdrawals were calculated to maintain relentless pressure without risking collapse. Civilian populations within the Dominion began to riot. Panic over impending human offensives destabilized planetary governments loyal to Tyrasis. In some cases, local leaders preemptively declared neutrality, disbanding their garrisons to avoid becoming targets. The Dominion, hemorrhaging control, faced rebellion not just from human fleets, but from within its own territories. Human ground forces, though less visible to the galaxy compared to their fleets, executed missions with the same brutal efficiency. Special operations teams targeted Dominion leadership, erasing key political figures in rapid strikes. Each mission adhered to the 7-minute rule, their precision leaving no room for failure. Even heavily guarded Dominion capitals proved vulnerable to these strikes. The humans sent no ultimatum, no declaration of surrender. Their silence became a weapon. Alien powers that had once feared Tyrasis dominance now began to openly question the Dominion's viability. Trade partners severed ties. Former allies declared neutrality or fled. Entire sections of Tyrasis-controlled space became ghost territories, abandoned in anticipation of human incursions. The Tyrasis Dominion, once a monolithic power, found itself fragmented and isolated. Each loss compounded the next. Attempts to form emergency alliances collapsed as potential partners feared provoking humanity further. The humans had made no demands, and that absence terrified the galaxy. A species that sought no bargaining table could not be appeased. Human forces maintained their tempo, each 7-minute strike a chapter in a calculated dismantling of the Dominion. Alien observers noted that the humans deliberately left evidence of their operational patterns, allowing the 7 minutes signature to spread as psychological warfare. Dominion soldiers surrender without resistance, pleading for their lives. Human forces disarmed them, destroyed their command centers, and departed, leaving them alive but humiliated. The silence of humanity continued to unsettle the galactic community. No envoys, no broadcasts, no propaganda. The absence of rhetoric made their campaign uniquely terrifying. Tyrasis media, desperate to regain control of the narrative, tried to label humans as dishonorable, but the galaxy knew who had initiated the broadcasted execution. The truth could not be buried.